part 2 of the steering wheel replacement. First thing you need to do, at least a couple of hours before you are due to remove the airbag, is to unhook the battery. We got two 10mm nuts on the terminals, both negative and positive. I tend to remove negative first and then remove the positive. Once these are removed, make sure that the actual leads are tucked out of the way, and you can then leave the car for a bit and come back later to start the work. Good afternoon, and today we're going to be actually replacing the steering wheel on the K11 Micra. Now, you would have seen earlier in the video I've disconnected the battery, and the battery has been disconnected for approximately 3 hours now. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with getting the wheel off. Now I just need to get to my toolkit, which is on the floor in the passenger footwell. Move the dustpan and brush, always keeping the car out of the way. It's always a good idea to have a dustpan and brush in the car. It means you can do some immediately cleaning jobs should you need to. So we need a flat blade screwdriver. So I'm going to be using the screwdriver attachment in the toolkit with a suitable flat blade bit. There are two covers on the side of the wheel, so not sure if you can see this on the camera. There's one here which I shall focus on, and there is a corresponding one on the other side. So what we're going to do, there is conveniently a little indent to allow you to prise it off. So that pops out, and there's your one piece, and pop it out on the other side. That's your first piece here. That's got an L on it to denote that it is for the left hand side, and we've got one here with an R on it to denote that it's for the right hand side. So we're just going to place both of those on the passenger seat. Now, if you look, you've got a couple of Torx bolts. There's actually two of these. So there's 1 and 2, and they're what I believe are termed as safety Torx, because they have a little raise in them, which means you have to use a particular Torx bit in order to get them off. Now I've just realised I've actually lost my little flat blade bit somewhere under the seat, so we'll have to try and retrieve that afterwards. So I've got in this toolkit a selection of these little bits here, Torx bits, which have got little holes in the top. Now I think, which one did I use last time? Let's just double check this. Yeah, there you go. So they use a T30, not sure if you can see that, T30 Torx bit on those two screws. So, actually I didn't lose it, it's literally right there, not to worry. So let's place that into here. Let's get the ratchet. Make sure it's switched obviously to release. And let's release the first bolt. You can actually see the whole airbag move there. It's under tension. Oh, there she goes. It's been on there for nearly 20 years. Something I like to do when removing airbags is sit as far back as possible. Don't have your face, hands or any tools in the way of the airbag. That's just in case it does happen to go off. You are a good distance away, so if it does go off, it's hopefully not going to hit you in the face, although it will give you a bit of a shock if it does. Because I've left it discharging for a number of hours, touch wood, we should hopefully be fine. always a bit wary because, you know, as I said in the last video, you are effectively dealing with something that's an explosive device. I'm not sure if it's a 12-volt signal it needs to activate it, but you know, it's better safe than sorry. Now, the airbag pulls off like so, and you can see what I mean about the differing airbags on different models of the K11 Micra. So this one is an earlier one because I've got the connector down here. Later ones have actually got the connector actually in the back of the airbag and just have a single wire going into the back. All of the ones I've seen so far do have this earth cable here, and obviously we've got the 19mm socket in the centre. Also got a manufacturing date on the steering wheel as well, which is 26/10/2000, so it'd be interesting to see when this car is registered. You can also see that there is a bit of damage around the steering wheel, which is another reason why I've decided to replace it. So, because this was obviously a Motability car, it's obviously had one of those wheel things that you steer like that with at some point, which has obviously left some indentations on the steering wheel material. I've lived with it for a number of years now, so I'm not too fussed by it, but seeing as this other steering wheel came up, it seems silly not to take advantage of it. So always face the airbag away, and to disconnect, got to work out how to remove. So there's a little plug here which comes out, and the airbag is now removed. So there's the airbag. What I'm going to do is actually place the airbag on the floor on top of the toolbox, out of the way. So if it does want to go off, it's going to do it into the door there and not into my face. Now we've got the steering wheel is exposed now, so we've got that 19mm bolt in the centre. You want to make sure that the car is parked up straight and that the wheel is straight as well. So we've got this little connector here that we want to remove. I've just seen something else fall off. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realise that was there. So there's actually on the bottom of the steering wheel, there is an additional panel here. Removable panel, which comes off. I think it's the other way round it goes. So it's like, yeah, it's like that. I didn't realise that. Something that is, oh, it is present on the newer one as well. I didn't realise that. So that's worth making a note of. So we've got a little release button here, and off she comes. So we just move these two out of the way through the hole here. Evidently, I think that's why the hole is actually there. Now, one thing I've noticed, and I didn't see this in the last video, is this plastic outer shroud appears to be held on by 4 Phillips screws, which means I should be able to take this and replace the one that is currently on the steering wheel that I'm going to be fitting, which means I can actually keep a common colour. So let's get a 19, an extension bar, and the correct size ratchet. So we should be on for releasing that. So we need to put that there. Hold it if you can with your knees. Oh, that's actually on quite tight. Oh, there she goes. So you might want to use a breaker bar for that. That was on very tight. No bad thing, just means it's not going to come off anytime soon. It's possible there was some Loctite on there as well, actually, which would make sense. And put the bolt, or the nut rather, which has got this inbuilt washer here. Put that somewhere safe where you're going to be able to find it. And you can either use a steering wheel puller, or, which I tend to do, is try and waggle it free, like so. Now you'll see on the, some people call this a clock spring, some people call it a reluctor ring. I usually call it a reluctor ring, but you can call it whatever you like, it's the same thing. You'll see on the steering wheel there is a little indent on the back here. On the clock spring there is this red marker here, and there's an alignment mark here and here. So when refitting the new steering wheel, you want to make sure that these alignment marks line up and that this red marker goes through the relevant point on the steering wheel. Now, with the steering wheel in my lap, we are going to find a suitable Phillips screw bit. There's one. And we're going to swap over these back covers. So let's start with this one here. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Hopefully, there we go, the metal frame of the steering wheel should lift off this plastic shroud piece, back-in piece, and that's what's funny enough, that's what the steering wheel looks like without the plastic sheathing on it. So let's put that one out of the way. And let's have a look at this back cover that we're going to be refitting. So there's the back cover. Put the screws to one side, and let's see if we can find something to clean it up with. So we've got these wipes, which are always useful to have. Famous baby wipes, always useful to have a set of these in your car. They are particularly good for cleaning dashboards and other items, so we'll start with this here. Get into these areas you would never normally be able to get into to clean. Select a nice yellow, that nice warning label, so make sure that's still aligned. And it does a really good job picking up sort of grime and stuff, as you can see there. Really good thing to have in your arsenal of in-car cleaning products. Here's a nice set of baby wipes. So I'm also going to clean out the inside of this shroud as well. So. And we can also clean the outside of it, although the outside is pretty clean, to be honest. If you wanted, you can paint these plastic shrouds as well, so I would assume probably the easiest way is to remove it completely. Actually, that would be a good tip when you're spraying the steering wheel, is to actually remove the plastic shroud before you start spraying, so that you don't actually get any overspray on there and you don't have to expend as much effort masking it all off. So we've got the new wheel, and we're going to do the same thing again with removing the shroud. So that's 1 screw, 2, 3, and 4. And the wheel should just lift off like so. Actually, we've kept, it's quite good, we've managed to keep all of these screws in the steering wheel, which is quite cool. So this one was made on the 26th of July 2000, which was a day before my 21st birthday. So this back obviously just slots over like so. So we will go and slot that in. It doesn't need to be too tight with the back cover, just as long as it is tight enough so it doesn't rattle. It doesn't make up the actual structure of the wheel itself. It's merely a cover. And here's the final one. There we go. So making sure that this is aligned, and you'll notice, actually I'll show you this, if you look at the centre of the spindle, you've got a little alignment point here as well, a little notch in there. So if we make sure that is aligned there, so you've got your alignment points here and here on the reluctor ring / clock spring, whatever you want to call it. On the steering wheel itself, you've got a little notch at the top that you line up with that little sort of imprint or dowel, pilot hole type thing on the steering wheel. So let's get that in like so, and just need to push that home fully. Give it a waggle. Just double check the existing one is the same. They should be identical, to be honest with you, but you never know with these things. Car manufacturers do like to change. Yeah, they're identical. So let's put the screw on, or the bolt rather, nut, sorry. And what we will do is we will use the nut and the active process of bolting this down to bring the steering wheel flush. You can actually see that is actually beginning to do that for me. So make sure that your reluctor ring stays lined up with that little hole, so the red pin on the ring stays lined up with that little hole there. Hold the wheel and start to bolt it down. So that moves. That's not going to come off at all, which is okay. Definitely not going to move. Now there will be a relevant torque figure, so have your torque wrench handy. Make sure that you torque it to that figure. So, bring your wiring back through. Plug in this earth-in plug here. That will do a little click as it goes into place. In fact, you can hear that if I could stay quiet. Oh, it wasn't loud that time. It went click last time. Make sure that that's on. Pull the steering wheel towards you. Make sure that it's not going to move. Next job is to refit the airbag. So grab the airbag. Plug the multi-connector into the airbag. What I will do is hold the back of the airbag like so and plug the multi-connector in. Click into place. Rotate the airbag and gently lower it into position. It should go behind the metal frame on the steering wheel so that both the bolt holes for those two Torx bolts that we removed earlier are in a nice lined up position. It's also worth checking that the loom for this, you can feel at the bottom, sits away from the metal structure of the wheel itself and just sits nicely in position like so. So that's now in place. That's actually the horn as well, so we'll have to test the horn once we've got all of this reconnected. Obviously it's not going to work at the moment because that's all, see, that's the horn neck there. So let's go. And where are we? That's lined up on both sides. And we can now take our two Torx bolts, place one in on this side, one in on the other. Now there will be a relevant torque figure, so again have your torque wrench on standby. Now I won't be showing me in this video torquing these up. I'm just showing this purely as for demonstrative purposes. So when I'm actually off camera, I'm going to be torquing everything up. So I'll actually be removing all of this again and torquing it all up properly. So let's go for this side first. Actually, we'll screw it in that side without the ratchet for the moment. Get that to a point where that's in place, and now we'll do the other side. so let's get that nipped in a bit more on this side, and nipped in a bit more on this side. Right, so that's now in place. For some reason that doesn't sit quite as central as I would like. I suspect on this wheel that the horn mechanism is bent slightly, so I'm not going to be too annoyed at that. That just is one of the perils that you have with second-hand parts, one of the risks. So we just need to refit our various panels. So we've got this bottom panel, which, if I remember rightly, that's the bit at the front, so it goes in like so. It should lip into place like that. Give the airbag a bit of a wipe down as well. It looks nice. Rather happy with that. And two side pieces, so we get left, slots in at the back, clips in at the front, and right, slots in at the back and clips in at the front. And there we go. Give it another waggle. It's definitely not going to move. Now the next thing to do is to grab your 10mm spanner. That's an 11. That's a 10. Hop into the engine bay and reattach the battery terminals. So with the steering wheel fitted and the battery back on, test your horn and start up the car. Want to make sure that the airbag light goes off, which it has. Just want to make sure that the wheel rotates. It seems to be activating the wheels on the front of the car, which is what we would hope. And also this gives you a good chance to test your air conditioning effectiveness. So AC is on, put it onto the windscreen. A little bit of slipping from the alternator belt, which is a bit annoying, but I need a new belt. So if I turn that off, just increase the RPM slightly. Turn it back on again. There we go. Put it onto position 2. We can actually watch that clear the screen. It's not vital. That's actually doing a very good job of clearing the screen there. But that's the final product. So I think it contrasts well with the rest of the interior. It goes well against the dials, and it's got that nice leather feel to it. So I'm rather happy with that. Yeah, I think we are looking good on the whole. Anyway, if you have found this video interesting, don't forget to hit that like button, and also consider subscribing for more upcoming fascinating hobbies. Thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.